accurate do you reckon this is? 42% of people are having to reduce their prices.
I think it's quite accurate because, as I've often said to you when we've discussed house prices, the ONS numbers on house prices, the nationwide numbers, the Halifax numbers, they're actual numbers of done deals, particularly the ones from the mortgage companies, what actually happens. Zoopla, Rightmove, all the estate agents' numbers and the property websites' numbers, they're asking prices. And, of course, the estate agents like to say the asking prices are high because they want people to sell their homes and all the rest of it. They want to get high commissions. So the estate agents' numbers haven't shown falling house prices for a long time, but because the more official numbers, the mortgage companies' numbers and the official ONS numbers have been showing house price falls, basically the estate agents are capitulating. They don't want to look completely stupid. Yes, the market is falling. And why is the market falling? Because 70% of homes are bought with a mortgage, and mortgage finance is so much more expensive, people can't afford to bid as much.
But shouldn't we cheer this in some respects? Because we know people under the age of 35 now, people in their 30s, still living at home, still relying on the bank of mum and dad. We want to get more young people on the housing market. Liam, you and I are part of that Thatcher-owning property democracy. I owned my first house, a little tiny terrace in Worcester, when I was 19.
When you were 19?
Yeah, and it cost me £19,000.
If you take the numbers between people between 25 and 34, right, back in the early 90s, when you and I were young property...
Actually, I was 22.
Yeah, when the likes of you and I were not Bev, she's a lot younger than us.
She is.
When I had to say that, otherwise she'd have had a go at me.
Yes. And she looks a lot younger too. Took you a lot younger than you. Took you a lot younger than you.
Back in the early 90s, between 25 and 34-year-olds... 65% owned their own home.
Yeah.
It's now 37%.
Staggering change.
Right? So well over half of a generation at that crucial family-forming age are locked out of home ownership because of unaffordability. So, and this is why. Just let me show you these, because these are amazing numbers.
Oh, have you got some figures?
I tried to make numbers.
Oh, good.
You got a little graph?
And amazing. I've got a little graphic here.
You build these graphs yourself, because you do like them, don't you?
I do like them. Let's have a look at this first graphic here, because what we've got here is something called the 2-year gilt yield. What is that? That's the price that the government must pay to borrow money for 2 years on the money markets. And these you've got the Bank of England base rates, the gilt yield base rates, and mortgage costs are always set off these, so they're higher. They're always a little bit higher than the rate at which the government can borrow money. So there's the 2-year gilt yield. Back in August 2022, not even a year ago, 1.67%. Look at how high it's gone since then. By February the 1st, it was 3.16. By June the 1st, earlier this month, it was 4.27. What is it now? Today?
Over 5.
5.27.
So that's 5.3 effectively.
That is well higher than during the mini-budget. This is why...
Which brought down Liz Truss.
This is why mortgage costs are going up, because the rate at which the government borrows money is the benchmark for all other interest rates in the economy, because the government is, by definition, the most able creditor, so they get the cheapest money. So these numbers are really, really high now, and this is why asking prices on homes are going down, because those 70% of home purchases which are done with a mortgage means that people can't afford a bigger loan. They can't afford to service a bigger loan at these much higher interest rates.
We had Manchester Mayor, Labour Mayor Andy Burnham on our show yesterday, and he was at the housing festival that you were at in Manchester. Exactly.
Good man,
guy.
isn't he?
We like him a lot. And I said to him, because he said people are just now not buying their own houses. But I said to him, are you happy with that as a vision of the future? Because I'm really confused about whether Labour just think, well, it's OK, 2030, you will own nothing, you will be happy. Isn't it that we're just going to be a rental and hiring society? And he said he wasn't happy with it.
OK, what's happening is, and I talked to Andy a lot yesterday, and I've talked to Lisa Nandy a lot, and she's been out and about today. She's going to be at the same housing
She's a shadow levelling up secretary, isn't she?
I gave a speech at the same conference talking about exactly this. What's happening is that the Labour Party, they know that there's kind of Middle England, they want to own homes, they want their kids to own homes. Of course, it applies in other parts of the UK as well, but I just use that as a phrase. And they know that they need to take those people with them. And so they're not going to completely diss home ownership. But Labour are also coming round to the reality, and Andy Burnham is helping to steer them there, that what really counts in the red wall, where this election will be won and lost, is council housing, right? Is social housing. Now, back in 1979, a third of all households were in homes, flats, houses owned by the state.
Yeah, I was in one.
Right?
I brought up in one.
It's now 17%. It's much, much fewer. We've had most years in our adult lifetimes, we've demolished more council houses than we've built, by the way, since the early 80s.
That's why the tower blocks
That's why the number of council houses have gone down. And Labour knows that what a lot of people want is if they're in a council house, they want to be sure that their kid's going to get in a council house too. And, you know, I'm a broadly free market guy, but I absolutely accept the case, and I'm trying to promote, as I did in my book, Home Truths, the case for when people are in jobs where their income just isn't enough to rent on the open market or buy on the open market these days. For instance, if you're a security guard, if you're a postman, right, if you're a milkman, if you're a skilled tradesman.
Supermarket checkout.
A building labourer. Yeah, these are all really important jobs.
Yeah.
These people are valid, completely decent people who want to get up, be dignified and go to work. But on the open market, they're going to get monstered, right? They just haven't got the cash in most parts of the country. So we need to provide housing for them. Now, at the moment, what's been happening, as council housing has diminished a lot, partly for ideological reasons, under both Thatcher Major and Brown Blair. Under Brown Blair, almost no council houses were built. What's been happening is that vulnerable people, because the state has a legal obligation to house them, they've been housing them in private rental accommodation,
and paying a
often
fortune.
substandard, paying a fortune in housing benefit. Now, the housing benefit bill, it's almost £30 billion a year.
It's out of control completely.
It's out of
Housing
control.
benefit bill is 30.
Between 25 and 30 billion pounds a year.
And that's going to get higher, Liam.
Absolutely huge. That's about 4p on basic rate of income tax.
And that's going to get higher because landlords are going to put up the rent because their mortgages have gone up.
And it's going to get. And also, a lot of these people who are in homes on housing benefits, so they're on subsidised rent, often, with the housing benefit cap, the housing benefit doesn't meet the rent, right?
No.
So there's proper poverty there, right? And then the landlords have huge power. A lot of social landlords are excellent, right? There are lots of housing associations that are excellent. I met the leaders of many housing associations in Manchester yesterday. But there are some rapacious landlords in the social sector because they know the local authorities and the government don't want to go there inspecting them because they've got nowhere else to put the people. And these people are going to end up in housing benefit accommodation their whole lives because they haven't got anything to sell.
We shouldn't forget the scandal in Rochdale, the Rochdale Housing Association, where that little boy, 2-year-old boy, died, didn't he? Because of
the reality is, a lot of social housing is substandard. You've got mould, you've got bad ventilation, you've got sickness. And something that came out yesterday, housing is kind of the everything problem, right? If you want to tackle knife crime, give people a decent place to live. If you want to tackle kids not doing well at school, give them a kitchen with a table in it where their mum, often single mum, can watch them do their homework and encourage them.
If you want families to stay together,
give them their own front door.
Give them a space. Exactly.
It
underpins so much, doesn't it?
Fascinating.
Gets neglected.
As always.
We neglect you as well sometimes, Liam. Can I just say we got our matching glasses on again today?
And Liam, we do like your graphs.
Did you know?
They're actually mine because you nicked my glasses and you didn't give them back to me. They are my glasses.
He's actually right.
Swap back?
We established one day that we wear the same glasses from Boots.
And then she literally stole the glasses off my face.
Do you
what's going on there?
Do you share any other things
He's
that
right.
You need to tell us about?
No.
You sure?
Right, we've got to move on.
Why are you blushing?
Anyway, off you go, Liam.
He's blushing.